That's what you get, Ben Johnson, you piece of shit.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
Only do that if you're telling the official you're reporting.
The Lions hangover.
Welcome back to an X-rated edition of the Lions Hangover podcast. I am your ever glorious host, Brad. Don't forget you can find me on all social medias. That means X, Facebook, and Instagram. Man, I love that X during football games. I tweet out a whole 2 tweets, maybe 3 if I'm feeling crazy. Don't forget you can find me on YouTube for these post-game shows, and you can find me wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeart, you name it, I am there. Lions today, they defeat, I don't even think defeat is the right word for the Chicago Bears. They blow the doors off of Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift by a final score of 52-21. Man, didn't that feel good? Did that not feel good? This was everything we needed to be after last week against the Packers. Lions completely rebound on both sides of the ball. Near perfect game. I will say a near perfect game. Not 100% perfect. There's still some things where you're like, I wish we could do this. At times, the defensive rush, the pass rush, that was not completely there, even though we had 4 sacks today against Caleb Williams, who is known for just getting sack after sack. No innuendo there. But yeah, still sometimes when they were not getting enough pressure on him, still worked out though. I thought DeAndre Swift was able to run the ball in the first half a little too easily. But yeah, the Lions defense really came up strong when it mattered most. They held Chicago to just 21 points, and that 1 touchdown was in the second half when it really didn't matter. They also forced 2 turnovers today. Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch both doing their thing. So before I start reading the notes on my phone, let me get these readers, and I will double up on my glasses here. Okay, these are just 1 1/4 magnification readers. I like to double up because I don't have bifocals. God, it's getting tough, guys. It's getting tough getting old. If you're watching me, I'm gonna look over here because this is where I'm holding my phone a little bit. So what a difference from last week, though. Everybody contributed to this victory. Goff had 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Isaac Tesla with another fantastic one-handed grab that set up a touchdown for St. Brown. Gibbs and Montgomery, they both have registered a rushing touchdown in the same game 10 times now after today. 10 times they have both scored a touchdown since they've been playing together. This ties the most games in which each member of a running back duo has produced a rushing touchdown in the same game in NFL history. This is also the first time ever that St. Brown had 100 yards in the first half of a game. He also had multiple touchdowns today, 3 of them to be exact, and we will watch all 3 of those in just a little bit. Goff has now passed Bobby Lane with 118 for the second most passing touchdowns in franchise history. Do you know who has number 1? Who has the most touchdowns in franchise history? It's not that hard of a guess. It is Matthew Stafford. He holds a healthy lead with 282 passing touchdowns for the franchise. And Jamo also had over 100 yards today, marking the 4th time that's happened in his career. And it's also the 2nd time that he and St. Brown had 100 yards in the same game. Brock Wright is the first tight end in league history. No, I'm sorry. Brock Wright is the first tight end in franchise history who entered the league as an undrafted free agent to produce 10 or more career receiving touchdowns. And these are just fun facts for the game. Just get things going of how impressive this game was. Jamison Williams has produced 6 touchdown receptions of 40-plus yards or more. This ranks as the second most in the NFL. This is over the last 2 seasons. This is the second most in the NFL during that span. I also want to say I thought clock management was better this game, especially at the end of that first half when they were in a hurry to score with that St. Brown touchdown. The Isaac Tesla setting up the St. Brown touchdown with 2 seconds left to go. As far as things going right in the game, it's this show would probably be an hour long if I mentioned every single thing. But, I mean, honestly, the offense and the defense just played a whole lot better. Jared Goff, he was amazing today. We will get to his stats. But like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, he had 5 touchdowns today and 0 interceptions. I believe he's the third quarterback to do that, I think. Or the third time he's done that. 3. There's a 3 stat there somewhere. The defensive rush showed up at times, like I was saying. There was some pressure on Caleb Williams today. Not as much as I thought there could have been, or there should have been, but they still came through when it mattered most. And, of course, the turnover game. This was huge for the Lions. Huge. Their defense was so bland last week against the Packers that this time it really... This was such a fun game, and it was a boring game. Once they got to blowout status, it was a boring game. It's like, wow, another touchdown. But at the same time, I mean boring in the most beautiful way possible, because this game was freaking amazing. Everyone played well on offense. I could probably pick apart the offensive line a little bit. Tate Ratledge is still figuring things out in the league, but definitely a much improved performance over last week. As the game went on, the offense just seemed more and more relaxed. I loved how they got things started, scoring on their first drive. I was a little bit worried when they didn't score on their next 2 drives, and I was a little bit worried when Chicago was able to come back and score on their first drive as well. But who played well on defense? Again, I have to point out Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. I thought they both played great. Hutch is starting to return to form. I don't think he's there yet. Davenport had a sack, and then he injured himself. It looked like he had a shoulder or an arm injury, but I think the report was there was a foot injury. So we will have to see how that goes on the injury report over the next few days and if he will practice or not. I mean, if the dude can perform, like, come on, we need you. We need you, dude. Perform and be healthy. All right. That's my motivational speech for Davenport. Like he's going to listen to me and be like, oh, okay, well, Brad said, come on. So I'll be healthy and I'll play better. Controversial moments of the game. I thought the refs did a decent job. They didn't control the game. They didn't dictate the outcome. So for that reason, I'm not too upset with the refs. However, and I know the rule is you cannot hit the quarterback in the head. However, Brian Branch was completely in the air. He was not trying to... the hit was not malicious and therefore did not end in an injury or anything like that. Caleb Williams was just fine. I know what the rule says, but it should always be up to the ref's discretion, right? I don't think that should have been a penalty on Brian Branch. Maybe that's just me being a homer, completely biased, but honestly, if it was the other way around, I would not have cared if they didn't call a flag. I wouldn't have thought twice about it if they didn't call a flag. Also, where was I going with this? I just to elaborate more on that, it would be different. Caleb Williams didn't even throw the ball yet. The ball was still in his hand, and Branch just went up, both arms up, and he was just kind of flying, and his momentum took him in. Caleb Williams didn't even fall. I think Brian Branch kind of held him up a little bit too when he hit the ground, but the fact that his head and his hands kind of hit Caleb Williams' helmet, that's just a penalty. And it doesn't bother me that happened. If I was the quarterback, I would not have cared. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this guy touched my head. This needs to be a flag. I would not have thought that at all. I thought it was a clean play, and it took an interception away from Terrion Arnold. I believe that would have been his first career interception. I don't remember him having an interception last season. I would have to look into that. I don't recall him getting an interception last season, and this would have been his first career interception. So you heard it here from me anyway. That's what I'm saying. If anything is not accurate, what I say, then that information is wrong, and my information is correct. My information supersedes anybody else's information or opinion. Just so we're clear, this is my show, and I rule at all. I rule everything. So, all right, let's get into the scoring summary here with some highlights, starting with 12-13 in the 12-13 remaining in the first quarter. Gibbs gets a touchdown, making it 6-0, his first touchdown of the season. This play right here.
Tight end set, 2nd and 5. Inside the 5, Gibbs to the end zone, touchdown!
Just watch the blocking of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brock Wright, Sam Laporta coming around the edge. They seal off that edge for Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs is the fastest running back in the NFL.
Next, Rome Odunze maneuvers his way for a 28-yard touchdown. That makes it 7-7. Now with 2:39 left in the first quarter, Montgomery scores from 1 yard out, making it 14-7. That is, of course, after the extra point from Jake Bates. 38 seconds left in the first. A huge hit from Brian Branch on Swift makes him lose the ball. This is a fumble recovery from Jack Campbell. I thought Campbell had a great game today, so we will talk about his stats in a little bit as well. Now, 9:56 left in the second. Caleb Williams passes deep right, intended for Zachoas. I'm messing that up. I have no idea how to say his name. This leads to the Joseph interception. We can watch that play right here.
You might be surprised. Williams in trouble. Rolling right.
Not that.
And then it is Kirby Joseph. Did he stay in bounds? Joseph comes up with the pick.
It starts with Hutchinson. He's going to go against Braxton Jones, spins inside, creates the pressure, and here, we don't need the shooting guard. Just throw the ball away, live for another down. Instead, tries to make that spectacular play. Kirby Joseph gets the interception.
Now with 4:48 remaining in the half, Brock Wright gets his first touchdown on the season after an 8-yard pass from Jared Goff. Now with 1:55 left in the half, Odunze gets his second touchdown of the game on a 6-yard pass. That makes it, let me do the math here, 21-14 in favor of the Lions. Now, after that huge Tesla play, the one-handed grab, that sets up the St. Brown touchdown, and that makes it 27-14. Well, 28-14 after the extra point from Jake Bates. We can watch that play here.
Goff to the end zone. Touchdown, St. Brown.
To a touchdown, Amon-Ra St. Brown on Tyreek Stevenson. That's too easy, right? The communication that's unsaid between Goff and Amon-Ra, that is just too easy.
Now, Jake Bates gets things started in the second half with a 34-yard field goal. That makes it 31-14. Now, with 6:22 left in the third, Jamo gets a 44-yard touchdown, making it 37-14 on this play right here.
We're down at 8. Goff going deep. Williams, touchdown!
They did this with Ben Johnson. They're doing it now with John Morton. Poor communication on the back end. Kevin Byard, he bites on the Khalif Raymond. The fastest guy on that team is running right behind Byard for a touchdown.
Now into the fourth quarter with 14:56 remaining. St. Brown gets his second touchdown of the day with his 8-yard pass from Jared Goff, making the score 45-14 after the Jake Bates. Here's that touchdown.
Goff to the end zone. St. Brown, touchdown!
Let's make sure his feet got in. Possesses 1, 2, 3, and he's at the slot. Nick McLeod.
And the final score for the Bears, DeAndre Swift with 11:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. DeAndre Swift runs it in from 3 yards out. That makes the score 45-21. And then the final score for the Detroit Lions with 7:58 left in the game. A 4-yard pass to St. Brown, making the final score 52-21. That is, of course, after a Jake Bates extra point. Let's look at this hat trick touchdown from St. Brown.
4th and goal, fake to Montgomery.
Too easy.
To St. Brown, into the end zone. His 3rd touchdown today, and there he goes.
Right into the leap zone. Those kids are going to remember that for the rest of their lives.
Joined by Jared Goff, and he goes into the front
Jared
row.
Goff goes in there.
So like I said, that makes the final score 52-21. Lions win. They improve to 1-1, while the Bears and Ben Johnson, suck it, drops to 0-2. Now let's go over the stats for the game. Let's start with the bad guys. Caleb Williams finishes 19 of 30 for 207 yards with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 4 times, quarterback rating of 91.9. DeAndre Swift had 12 carries for 63 yards with 1 touchdown. Kyle Monagany, it's just Menenge. Oh, I think I said it right there. 7 carries for 28 yards. Caleb Williams, 5 carries for 27 yards. I do have to say, the Lions' defense was great in that way where they did not let Caleb Williams run all over them. I think 27 yards is very respectable. I'm happy he did not have more than 50 yards. So the top receivers on the team, Rome Odunze had 7 receptions for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did burn the Lions, but it doesn't matter. So DJ Moore had 5 receptions. I thought he had a really quiet day for having 5 receptions. He finished with 46 yards. Cole Kmet had 2 catches for 29. And Olamide Zaccheaus, I'm not sure, 2 catches for 12 yards. DeAndre Swift with the 1 fumble, and he lost it. Tyson Badgett had a fumble as well, but they recovered that one. So, top 5 tacklers on the board for the Chicago defense. Jaquan Brisker had 9 tackles, 7 solo. Tremont Edmonds, 7 tackles, 6 solo. Tyreek Stevenson, 7 tackles, 5 solo. Noah Sewell, I thought he had a solid second half, 5 tackles for 3 solo, and Kevin Byard the third, 4 tackles with 3 solo. Let's talk about sacks. They did not have a single sack on Jared Goff. How freaking amazing. Jared Goff also did not throw an interception. I mentioned that earlier. Devin Duvernay, I mean, you think I'd be good at saying these names. He punted twice for, those are punt returns. Never mind. Kicking, Santos, he was 3 for 3 on extra points. Here we are. Torrey Taylor, 4 punts for 212 yards, average of 53 yards, with the long being 62. He was only inside the 20 one time. Let's talk about the good guys. The Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, 23 of 28, only missed 5 passes on the day for 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 156. That is freaking amazing. Good game, Jared Goff. I know I'm labeled as a hater, but that was a pretty freaking sweet game. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries for 94 yards. I feel like the bulk of that came in the second half on 2 separate plays, one of them being a 42-yard run. David Montgomery had 11 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown as well. Jahmyr Gibbs also had a touchdown, if you remember. Things that really got the run game going was Amon-Ra St. Brown had a carry for 6 yards, as well as Khalif Raymond. He had a carry for 9 yards as well. I feel like they kind of got the running game going. It was kind of a difficult thing for the Lions to establish up until those two got active. Weren't they like back-to-back plays too? I think they were. Receiving, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 9 receptions for 115 yards and 3 freaking touchdowns, with the longest being 34 yards. Jameson Williams only had 2 catches, but he got 108 yards receiving, the longest being 64 yards. He also had a touchdown. Isaac Tesla had 1 reception for 29 yards, and it was, again, who else has 2 catches to start his NFL career? And both of them were one-handed grabs and just freaking acrobatic catches, man. Amazing catches. Brock Wright had 3 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown. Gibbs and Montgomery. Gibbs had 3 catches. Montgomery had 1, so that's good. Okay, here we go. Defense. Top 5 tacklers are on the board. That makes me feel like I'm doing Family Feud here. Jack Campbell had 8 total tackles with 4 solo. Brian Branch had 6 total tackles. All of them were solo. Terrion Arnold, 6 tackles, 6 solo. Alex Anzalone had 6 tackles, 4 solo. And Derek Barnes, 6 tackles, 2 solo. So right there, those are the bulk of them are your linebackers. Sacks, Brian Branch had a sack. I love Brian Branch. Al-Quadin Muhammad had a sack. I like him too. Marcus Davenport gets credit with a sack. That's when he went out injured. I hope he's okay. Aiden Hutchinson, also credit with a sack, and then he thanked the crowd, for just being behind him and supporting him. I thought Hutchinson had a good game. I just thought overall their pass defense, the pass rush was hit or miss, mostly in the first quarter, the first half. But once they really started getting to Caleb Williams, I think he started to feel the pressure there. So overall, I would say a good game, but it is you want to see a little bit more consistency too. Kirby Joseph with that 1 interception. Still not a fan of the kick returns. I want to see Khalif Raymond. I don't want to see Grant Stewart or Sailors, whatever his name is. I just want to see Khalif Raymond returning kicks. Am I wrong? Am I being a dummy? Jake Bates was 1 for 2. He did miss a 55-yarder, but he was 7 for 7 on the extra points. He did make that 34-yard field goal. Jack Fox only punted 3 times today for 147 yards with an average of 49 yards, and 2 of those were in the 20, with his longest being 62 yards. All right, so team stats. The Lions had 25 first downs. The Bears had 19. The Lions ran 58 total plays of offense. The Bears ran 64. The Bears had 339 yards of total offense. The Lions had 511 total yards of offense. Freaking amazing. Red zone, the Bears were 2 for 2. The Lions were 6 for 7. Can you imagine being in the red zone 7 times and scoring on 6 of those times? That is freaking amazing. The Bears were 8. The Bears had 8 penalties for 50 yards. The Lions only had 3 penalties for 28 yards. 2 turnovers for the Bears, none for the Lions. And time of possession was pretty close, man. The Bears had the ball for 29 minutes, 40 seconds. The Lions had the ball for 30 minutes, 20 seconds. 64,201 people walked through the gates at Ford Field today. So that's it. That's our stats right now. Next week, the Lions take on the Ravens. That's Monday Night Football. Excited about that. I love Monday Night Football. I will be home to watch it. Against the Ravens. You got to be feeling good right now against the Ravens. After a game like today, that's definitely momentum. That's definitely a confidence builder, and we do have a little bit of revenge. In my head, the Lions owe us a game because they should have beat the Packers. Originally, I would have predicted them to lose against the Ravens. Who knows how it's going to go? The Ravens lost a heartbreaker last week against the Bills, and I believe they are playing tonight or tomorrow. Well, I can't remember who the Ravens are playing, so I have no idea how they did. So they'll either be 0-2 or 1-1. So in a way, I hope they win. That way they're not so butthurt against us, and perhaps they'll take it easy against us. Either way, the Lions need to bring their A game like they did today. They need to be on top of the ball. Dan Campbell needs to have these guys ready. It almost makes you wonder if the Lions were looking ahead on the schedule last week just because of their lack of performance against the Packers last week and how well they brought it today. They knew they needed a rebound. We knew they needed to rebound, and they delivered. It was only close in the beginning. I love what I saw. Love what I saw from the Lions today, and hopefully that continues. I can take these off now. I don't have to double up on the glasses anymore, but I still feel like I can't see. Other than that, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please rate and subscribe the show. I really appreciate it. And if you thought it was fun, share it with a fellow Lions friend. I also appreciate that. I will be back for the audio-only version of the pregame show, followed by the audio and video version of the postgame show after Monday night. That one might not come out till Tuesday, but I will see what I can do. Those late games, man. Those late games. Other than that, thanks again, and you guys have a good rest of your Sunday.